feeling so powerless, like feeling like who do you go to when the person you're supposed to go to is the one that's causing the harm?
A woman is speaking out after a shocking video of her being dragged through a hallway by a Kelowna RCMP officer was made public through a lawsuit she filed over the incident. Mona Wang is a nursing student at UBCO who is looking to become a psychiatric nurse and is currently working in the neuropsychiatric ward. She says police were called to check on her wellness in the middle of a suicide attempt. Constable Lacey Browning entered the apartment and found Wang laying on the bathroom floor semi-conscious. The officer says Wang had a box cutter in her hand, but Wang maintains it was on the other side of the room.
She wrote that she did a sternum rub, which, she didn't do. And I know what a sternum rub is. Instead, she used her boot to step on my arm as hard as she can. And I had bruises from that to just show how excessive the force was to arouse me. And so that kind of took me out from my unconsciousness. And obviously I was not happy because, and someone comes and they're supposed to be helping you and they're calling you names and saying you're an idiot, those kind of things. It's definitely very hurtful. And I wasn't technically right in the mind at the time, just like from all of the stimulus and all of the medications I had ingested.
Wang says the officer then beat her. Constable Browning says that she had to subdue Wang because she was flailing her arms at her. Wang also disputes her dog wasn't as dangerous as the officer stated, as it's a miniature poodle that weighs 10 pounds.
After she had beat me, I was unconscious, and I don't remember her dragging me down the hall very much. I remember waking up in the elevator, and then she dragged me into the lobby, and that was quite embarrassing. Like, so many of the people who lived in my building were walking past, and I was like screaming for help, and it was just like really bad situation to be in. Like, there was no reason why she needed to drag me down to the lobby, and like it was January, so it was cold as well, and it was a concrete floor. Like, it was just like unnecessary for her to drag me out there and for us to wait there for so long for another police car to arrive. It was very degrading, to already be down and then have her take it one step further and to assault me even more. I was in handcuffs. I was on the floor. I was of no harm to her in that moment, and yet she felt it was necessary to kick my head down.
Wang just wishes paramedics were called.
That would have been handled so much better. They would have had a stretcher, been able to transport me safely, etc., right? And also, I just feel like the police is not trained for de-escalation as much as they should be. They kind of rely on force a lot of the time. And, as a nurse working in a psychiatric facility, we get a lot of verbally abusive and combative patients. And if we can do it without physically assaulting them, I don't see why the police isn't able to handle that in such a way. So I think that's just like such a flaw in their training. I think it should be a lot more emphasis on de-escalation skills.
Wang says she had one other suicide attempt that was handled by EMT, which ended much differently.
Seeing that she could do all these things to me, and like I even said, like before, I was like, what if this was your child? I was hoping for some like motherly compassion, right? But none of that was shown. And I was like pleading, I was begging for her to show a little compassion, to call for help or something, and there was just nothing. In the car ride to the hospital, I was asking her why she would do this and asking her where we're going, and like so many things. Just, I was so confused and I was in such a shock, and I was asking her all these things in the car, and she did not say a single word to me. She did not reply to anything, not even when I asked her where we're going, what time is it, anything. She was silent the entire time.
She also wants to see the officer in question see some repercussions.
I don't think if you did something like this, I don't think you should be able to walk away while the other person has to live a life where they are constantly reliving this trauma, and they have to do so much just to be able to get over it and have, the police officer just walk away at the end of the day, go home, and feel nothing, right? So I think they definitely need to be accountable for their actions, and hopefully this will lead a little bit of change or influence them.
Wang says she's working with mental health professionals to get to a better place mentally, and says sharing her story allows people to see incidents like this don't only happen south of the border.
People who are of a minority are so stigmatized and so they're so systematically oppressed, right? So hopefully my voice will be some kind of beacon of hope that, you can continue to thrive and continue your life after something like so traumatic happens. And so right now my goal is just to finish nursing school and become a psychiatric nurse, so that way I could help more people.
She thinks society needs to think about how they respond to people in mental distress.
There's so much stigma, especially around mental illness, that, people who are schizophrenic, who are bipolar, that they're dangerous and they're out to hurt you, when in reality they're more of a harm to themselves. So I think, first of all, there definitely needs to be a discussion around that. And just, reflecting on this and handling reports seriously, because this is not the first time that's happened. I've spoken to people who have reached out to me and said similar things have happened to them in Kelowna even, and that when they filed a report, nothing was done about it.
She hopes more people can talk about it publicly to break the stigma surrounding mental health, and she advocates for a change in society.
We as a society, especially in 2020, we can do better. And, hopefully my story will encourage people who have also faced these issues to come out and speak on what happened with them, because I think it's so important. And it definitely is difficult, and it's difficult me being here and reliving through this, but I think that the good definitely trumps the bad. And it's, if you don't talk about it, if you keep it inside, then no one knows what happened, and there's no way that the system can improve.
Constable Lacey Browning denies that she assaulted Wang and says that her actions during the wellness check were justified. None of these allegations have been proven in court. Sarita Patel, Castanet News, Kelowna.